Yo, Camilo here. In this video, we're going to be reviewing the new Fontaine's craftable weapons. So first of all, starting off with the Sword, Finale of the Deep. First thing first, why do Fontaine's craftable weapons need materials from Inazuma? That's kind of weird, but anyways, it's going to have a 564 base attack at level 90, which is kind of high for a 4-star sword. And then it's going to have an attack substat, which is 27% at level 92. So it's just a high base attack and then some extra attack, which is pretty good. For these stats, it's just an average 4-star weapon, obviously. Now, moving on for the passive though, which is the most important thing. Yeah, when using an elemental skill, your attack is going to be increased by 12% for 15 seconds. So that's pretty simple. You use your elemental skill, your attack is going to be increased. And then this is the kind of complicated part. A bond of life for 25% of your max HP will be granted. This effect will be triggered once every 10 seconds. When the bond of life is cleared, a maximum of 150 attack will be gained based around 2.4% of the bond for 15 seconds. And then the bond of life is just absorbs healing based on its base value. Okay, so let me explain this very quick. Say you have a character on the field and they have like 25,000 HP. Now you go and use your elemental skill with this weapon, you're gonna have 12% attack increase, and that's gonna give you a bond of life based around 25% of your HP. So that's gonna be 6,250. Now, what is this bond of life? It's only gonna be cleared after you're healed by 6,250. So after you receive 6,250 healing, this bond of life is going to be gone, and then you're going to receive 2.4% out of that bond of life as an attack increase. So if you have 6,250, you're going to gain 150 attack, which is the maximum. Anything over than that is not going to count. So yeah, pretty simple. You use the skill, you have a bond of life, you need healing to clear that bond of life, and then after it's cleared, it's going to give you 2.4% out of it as an attack increase. Just a pure attack increase, not 150% attack percentage, just 150 attack added to your like total attack, obviously. So yeah, hopefully this is clear. So what you're getting from this weapon is just attack from the substat, and then some extra attack from the passive, and then some extra like base attack from the rest of the passive you can have if you can trigger it. Again, obviously to have the full passive, you're gonna need 25,000 HP on your character. Any more than that, you're not gonna gain anything else. Any less than that, you're not gonna have the full passive. So now, is this weapon good or not? I mainly have two problems with this weapon. The first one is that 25,000 HP is not like easily achievable for most DPS characters. If you look at like most DPS characters, you're gonna see that most of them are gonna be around like 20,000 HP, maybe like 22,000, 18,000, around that. I would say it's kind of rare where you're gonna see a DPS with like 25,000 HP. So you're not gonna gain full advantage out of the passive in the first place. In most cases, unless you start, you know, building around this weapon and have like HP substats and stuff like that, then maybe. Other than that, you're probably not gonna have it. And then the second problem, and the biggest problem with this, is that it's kind of hard to achieve. And I would say it's harder than it looks like, to be honest. To be able to like fully achieve this passive at a comfortable rate every single rotation, it's gonna be a bit hard. Well, it depends on like what teams you're playing and stuff like that, but it's definitely not gonna be comfortable because like you're gonna use your elemental skill and then wait to be healed, and then you're gonna gain the bonus and then do other things. Now, this works with some characters, but with some characters, for example, when they deal damage with their elemental bursts, they need to use their elemental burst just right away. So this weapon, if you use it right away, you're not going to get the buff. But if you wait, you're not going to gain like the energy particles and stuff like that. That's a problem. Some teams don't even use like healers and stuff like that, or they use like very, you know, different types of healers where they cannot really, you know, it can be uncomfortable. For example, if you're using like Bennett only heals you up to 70%. So if you already have more than 70% HP, Bennett is not going to heal you, and this passive is not going to trigger, and it's going to be long. So yeah, it can be kind of uncomfortable to get the full passive, and that's not really good, I would say. For the characters, I'm definitely not going to go through all of them. It can work on any character who needs attack, basically. But again, the biggest problem is just going to be like whether or not you can achieve it. You got to look at your teams and see what's going on there, and, you know, look at your character and see if you can work on them. I can see it working on a couple characters, like, I don't know, for example, Ayaka, Shincho maybe, but it's definitely not going to be best in slot for any of them. Even free to play, I'm not even sure how it's going to compare. I haven't done any calculations or anything, but I wouldn't guess it's going to be that good, especially since it only gives you attack and stuff like that. So wouldn't really guess it's going to be like super good. But yeah, it can work pretty much on any character who needs attack, but you got to make sure you have a healer, and then you got to make sure your rotations are in check. So what do I think of this weapon? Honestly, I don't really like it. I think it's just too long dealing with this weapon. weapon. It's very specific and kind of niche, and again, it's uncomfortable to like make sure to trigger the passive every single time, and it doesn't even really give that much in return. It's just attacks. So yeah, I think there are better weapons than this weapon. You probably have better weapons for every single character. If you don't, then I guess yeah, you can go for it. Against other craftables, I guess it's pretty decent, but generally speaking, as a weapon, I don't really like it that much. I think it's below average, I would say. Now moving on to the Claymore, the Tidal Shadow. So it's going to have an average base stack and then a attack bonus substat, 41% attack bonus, which is kind of big for a 4-star weapon. The passive is much more simpler, is that after you're healed, your attack is going to be increased by 24% for 8 seconds. And it can also be triggered when the character is not on the field, which is pretty good. So yeah, you just need to be healed in any other way. You don't need to be healed a certain amount or anything like that. After you're healed, your attack is going to be increased by 24% for 8 seconds. That's definitely not a very hard passive to achieve. You can probably have 100% uptime on that easily if you have any healer pretty much on your team. What this weapon gives you, it's just attack, again like the sword. So I can see it working on a lot of characters. Again, obviously you're gonna need a healer on your team, but other than that, you're good. Also on most characters, I would say it's probably gonna be better than like the prototype arcade, again if you have the passive activated. So yeah, I would say that's a decent weapon. You can use it on a lot of characters, pretty much any character really who needs attack. You just gotta make sure to have a healer on your team and you're good. So yeah, the Claymore, I would say it's a decent free to play weapon. Just attack, pretty good. Yeah, you can use it. I would say it's just an average weapon. Now we have the Polearm, the Rightful reward. We're gonna have a high base attack and then HP as a substat, which is kind of a weird combination, I would say, but it's fine. And then the passive is that when you're healed, same thing as a Claymore, you just need to be healed, doesn't matter the amount or anything like that. You're gonna restore 8 energy. You can do this every 10 seconds, and it can happen also when you're not on the field, which is pretty good. So yeah, this bow is gonna give you just energy after you get healed. It's gonna be 8 energy, and especially at like Refinements 5, it's gonna be 16 energy. It's gonna be super good. Like 16 energy is gonna eliminate a lot of like energy problems for a lot of characters. So pretty much for characters, any character who's not really big into damage themselves and they need a lot of energy, this weapon can be pretty good on them. What I can think of is obviously Candace. This weapon is gonna be very good on Candace. It's gonna give her HP, and then it's also gonna, you know, eliminate a lot of her energy problems, which is very good. Again, especially with refinements, it's gonna be literally perfect for Candace. Other than that, I can see it working on maybe Yao Yao, I would guess, or something like that. But generally speaking, any character who needs energy for themselves and they need a polearm and they don't really care about damage because again, it gives HP, which is not really good for damage. Any character like that, they're going to be using this weapon and it's going to be super good on them. So yeah, for this polearm, I would say it's definitely a decent polearm. Now, I wouldn't really say it's super good because there are not many characters who are going to like need it, at least for right now. As I said, you have like 2 or 3, you know, maybe Yao Yao, Candace, and Mika. Other than that, not many of those really need it, but for those characters, this can be a very decent weapon if you're struggling with like energy or something like that. So yeah, should you craft? Again, for those characters, maybe. Other than that, no. But for those characters, it's definitely a very good weapon. I would say it's an average in like value as a whole, but generally speaking, for its purpose, it's definitely not a bad weapon. So yeah, I would say it's cool. Now for the bow, we have the Song of Stillness. So you have an average base attack and then attack as a substat. Pretty much the same thing as the Claymore. And then the passive is that after the wielder is healed, they're gonna deal 16% more damage for 8 seconds. And it can also happen when you're off field, which is pretty good. So yeah, it's just attack and then damage bonus, which is super good. But you're gonna need a healer to activate it again. So it's either gonna be like a full team healer or, you know, an on-field healer if your character is like a DPS or whatever. But it can work for any type of characters. They just need to be able to be healed on any team. Other than that, if they're a DPS, they need attack, they need damage bonus. It's going to be super good for them. Now for characters, again, as I said, any character who needs, you know, damage bonus and attack is going to be pretty good on them. Right now, right off the bat, I can think of Fischl maybe. Line is going to be pretty good on Line too. Aloy, even Mia, you know, any character who needs damage bonus and attack is going to work on them. Obviously, it's not going to be best in slot or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure it's going to at least work and compete with other 4-star weapons. So yeah, for this bow, I would say it's definitely pretty good. Again, nothing really special. It's just average value, I would say, but it's not bad. So yeah, I would say the bow, average, pretty good. And then finally, we have the Catalyst. It's going to give you a high base attack and then attack as a substat. And then the passive, it's when you use an elemental skill, your elemental damage bonus is going to be increased by 8% for 15 seconds. That's pretty good. It's going to give you elemental damage bonus. And then it's the same Bond of Life passive. You know, when you use your elemental skill, it's going to give you a Bond of Life. This time worth only 24% of your max HP. And then when you clear the Bond of Life, when you're healed by 24% of your max HP, it's not the same as the attack bonus. It's for every 1000 HP you have on this Bond of Life, you're going to gain 2% elemental damage bonus, up to a maximum of 12%. So to have the full 12%, you're going to need 6000 HP on the Bond of Life, which means you're going to have 24,000 max HP on your character. Now this weapon, I would say, is going to be a little better. Again, it's going to be hard and long to activate the passive, but when you do, at least you're getting damage bonus and then the attack from the substat. So it's going to be a pretty good combination. It's going to be like more value than just plain attack like the sword. What I said about the sword still stands. Obviously, it's going to be long to have like a character who can always take advantage out of the passive pretty easily. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have special healers on your team, special rotations and stuff like that. But when you do, it's going to be at least kind of worth it. For the users of this weapon, I would say, again, any character who needs attack and damage bonus, which are a lot in the game. But again, it's going to be hard to activate. Which characters I can see using this weapon? I guess Yai Miko, for example, maybe, if you're using her in like a Dendro team. Other than that, I'm not really sure. Maybe like DPS Barbara, I guess. Those are like right off the top of my head optimal teams I can think of. But other than that, again, any character of those who needs attack and then damage bonus, you just gotta figure out a way for them to get healed and to not mess up their rotations. If you can do that, this weapon can work on them. You're gonna gain attack and damage bonus, which is pretty good. So is this weapon good? I wouldn't really say it's good because again, the passive is still kind of hard to trigger and it's kind of long. But if you're able to do that, at least it's gonna be worth it. So I would say it's a little less than average. It's better than the sword, but I wouldn't really say it's a good weapon because it's still kind of long to have the full passive. So the Inazuma craftable weapons, in conclusion, I would say honestly I don't really like them that much, at least for the characters and the meta we have right now, maybe in the future. But generally speaking, for right now, I'm not really sure. I like the Polearm and the Claymore a little bit, especially the Polearm. It can be pretty good on like Candace or, you know, someone like that for certain characters. The Claymore is kind of usable too, but the sword and the Catalyst, I don't really like them that much. So yeah, I wouldn't really say to go craft them, at least for right now. So yeah, that was the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see y'all in the next video. Peace.